Now, as good as Red has been in the last set and a half of Masters, Red somehow found a way to get better going into Nationals. On top of Kid Ku already being still considered top 1A, 1B deck in the format until proven otherwise, Red got a lot of good tools in this new set that's really going to bolster a lot of those tech slots that you had in these very heavy archetype decks. Or if you're just playing a more generic deck, which is what we're going to talk about today, which is going to be Dark Vegeta, is what I call him, since he does play black cards as well. So he's almost like a mini Dark Broly. Not nearly as strong as Dark Broly in his prime, but that's kind of the concept of it. Now, essentially, I built a deck. This is a deck that I've tested out quite a bit. I do find there are different variations of this deck as well. You have the mono red builds. You have the black and red builds, which are more where you're going to be charging a form of black energy, which I definitely think is probably the best way of going. This gives you access to a few more tech options, but also it gives you access to a very strong secret rare option in Evil Saiyan. Now, this deck doesn't mill a ton, but on the front side, you do go through at least 4 cards out of your deck, if not more, if you don't have the ability of Awakening. And if you do hit your secret rare during that time, Evil Saiyan's the only one that you'll have access to being able to play, unless you're playing another Overwhelm card that can grab those cards back, which is not very good to be playing, to be honest. I think it's a Trunks that you can do to get those cards back, but it's not really worth the energy slot, so it's, again, I think it's just better to go red and black. Now, this is going to be more of a revised list that I've been testing with. I've done quite a bit of testing with this guy, getting some people ready for Nationals and also just on my own. And of course, this deck is going to be probably the most popular deck going into the new format because of how strong it is. It's just, this deck has so many good tools. You can put out so much pressure. Again, not having to attack with your leader to draw is very important. You have free combo once per turn. You have the ability of building back up your drop area. There's a lot of good things to look at in this deck. So this is going to be a 60 card list. I think you have to run Vegeta at 60 cards, primarily because of the amount of cards you're going to draw and go through on your early turns. I mean, you're going through 4 cards per turn until you awaken. So you're going to be milling 2 cards and then drawing 2 cards. And then on your awaken turn, you're going through another, 4 cards. So it's quite a bit, right? In your first 2 turns, you're going through almost 12 or 14 cards roughly, which is crazy, the amount of cards you're going through in this deck. And that's just all off your leader effect. That's not including your other effects that are going to be drawing. So you're going to go through your deck pretty quickly. So having a 60 is just going to be the best value for you. And the one downside to this deck is you do need 5 Saiyans in the warp. Which means as you are trying to add other cards into the deck, I would say primarily the Unisons, which seems to be a very popular route for a lot of people. That is something you have to keep in mind, right? You're already adding in probably 4 to 8 extra cards in the deck, not to mention any other tech cards that you're maybe putting in that are not Saiyan cards, which I don't know why you would, but you can, and then also including 4 Unisons, and that's a small chunk, and that could actually affect your Awaken ability here. Is not having those extra, not only not having the extra Saiyans in your warp to be able to awaken, but also being able to do some of your other effects because you don't have enough Saiyans in the drop area to do those effects with. So just a thing to keep in mind here. So this is a non-Unison build. I don't think the Unison build is the most optimal build, primarily for that, but also this deck does have a very big weakness, and that is you don't really carry a lot of Self-Awakeners in your build. And you can't really add Self-Awakeners too much without kind of messing up sort of the flow of the deck. So if your opponent has the ability of keeping you at 6 life, while also being able to sort of clear your board, this deck starts to struggle. And one way they can do that is by swinging at a Unison, because then that doesn't give you the ability of comboing. You can't take life. You're at 6 life anyways, so that really hurts. And then once that Unison's gone, you're probably never playing another Unison again. So then you have 3 extra copies of this card in your deck primarily that you might end up drawing, that potentially might be useless. So if you don't see the Unison by turn 2, your deck, basically you just have 4 dead cards in your deck, and you're not really going to be playing them personally. So just a little tip there again. Some people will disagree with me. Some people will say that I don't know what I'm talking about for that, but that's fine. I don't think the Unison build is the proper way of building this deck. I think you just go straight Saiyans. And that's going to give you the most value here. So we'll start here with the beginning part of the build. So we have 4 and 3 of the 1-drop cards. You can play the Trunks and the Gotenks. So these are reduced by 2 if you have 2 Saiyans in the warp. And then this searches top 5 for any red Saiyan. Gotenks is just a draw 1. Now these both have an effect on 4 energy. You can put back 4 cards, which actually does come up quite often, where you're able to basically utilize those cards for Overwhelm or other effects and then put them back into your drop area so you can do the same effect or another existing effect. I play 4 of the Self-Taught Truth Super Saiyan Son Gohan. So this is not a placeholder. This is the actual slot for this card. So for 2 different reasons. This deck does not have any battle cards you can play on turn 2 unless your opponent goes first. So if you go first, you don't have any cards you can play on turn 2. So essentially you're playing either the Unison, you're playing a Z battle card or a Z extra card, and that's really it. Right? That's all you're going to be doing. The Z extra card, the Z battle card that we'll go over on turn 2 is very, very good, but it's not good at every matchup. This card gives you a battle card you can play on turn 2 as long as you have a Z extra, which you will. You'll end up comboing a card from the drop to get a Z extra on turn 2, and it'll draw you a card and you can play it. Then if you have 3 or more energy, you can tap another energy to switch this card to active mode. It gains double strike, and then you can reduce the power of a battle card or a Unison by 20k. This is very good. I've killed some people with this card before. Later on in the game, you establish it, you can swing with it, and then you also can give a double strike again. You don't have a ton of double strikers in this deck naturally, so just having access to another one in your deck for essentially 2 energy is very good. That also draws you a card and clears something, and it's searchable and works with all of your effects. Next we have 4 of the Super Saiyan Goku. This is your turn 2 if your opponent goes first. Puts 2 cards back and then negs 2 battle cards by 15k each time. Well, 1 per attack, but attacks twice. And then you have to remember that your leader, every time you have a Saiyan card attack, you can put up to 1. So this is a up to 1 effect, so if you just miss the trigger, you miss the trigger. So that's something to keep in mind, is you're going to be putting a lot of cards back. 3 Penetrating Fist for the anti-counter. You'll probably play this card once in most matchups. In the blue matchup, this card's really powerful because this card now pairing this card with something like Broly Crown forces the blue player to figure out which card they want to use the God Slicing on, which they're going to have to discard 2 cards for. Sure, they draw a card, but they're minusing 2 cards from hand to hit this card. Or they don't do it, and now you can swing into them, and they're going to have to combo out of it. But if they decide to negate, you can burn them for a life. 4 Ultimate Potential, of course. This card's insane. And a little note to people who don't know is you need to make sure you attack with this card first. Because when you use a card in a combo, this card will automatically trigger. So if this card's in active mode and you combo with something else, you can't activate this auto for the rest of the turn. If you have multiple of these on board, they all trigger at the same time. So the idea is you kind of swing with all of these cards and then combo. Or if you swing with something and your opponent doesn't block and then you combo something and they decide to combo out of it, this card cannot restand. So just a little tip there. We have 2 Super Saiyan Vegeta Competitive Saiyan Spirit. I love this card in this deck. So activate battle. If your leader's red, you can, on your turn, you neg a battle card by 20. Or you can bean one of your red cards for the turn. And then this card also gets 5k for each card in your energy. So after turn 3, this is a 25k plus. Why this card's good, it's the Saiyan. It's a Vegeta, but it's a Vegeta BR, so it doesn't work with some of the other effects in the deck. But being a 1-drop that also has the ability of getting around Koitsukai, right? After turn 3, this card will be a 25k, so it will, I believe it hits the board as a 25k, so you'll get around Koitsukai. It can't be counterplayed at that point, right? It's a 25k, and it's going to bean your leader for 5k, right? So we actually have some different tools in this deck that allow us to buff our leader on defense. So this is one way of kind of getting out of, especially when you're in the mirror matchup. Your opponent's going to be swinging with a lot of 20Ks, so this puts you at 20K, meaning you don't have to give up as many cards to get over some of these other things that your opponent's going to be swinging at you with. I run 4 Raditz super combo. I do not run Backbone. I really like the ability to get rid of a card in my hand to see 2 new cards. just flat out. Backbone is great. I know people play the little Gohan that searches out, you know, U7 targets, but I don't think there's enough good U7 targets. Like, you have 4 of this, you have 4 of your Unison, because technically you could search out Unisons, you have 4 of the Gohan that you can play, 4 super combos, but it just seems weird to run that in this, because this is going to be the better target most of the time, right? There's going to be chances where you do whiff off the Gohan, and I know the Gohan effect has some other stuff where you can combo a red card and it's skillless, so you draw a card. Like, that's all that stuff's cool, but that card's going to get removed, and then what turn, unless you are hard floodgated, are you going to want to play a 1-drop just to draw a card that's also a 4K that does nothing else for your deck? Probably never. So after turn 1, you're probably never playing the Gohan again, so why include it in your deck? You know what I mean? The Raditz, yes, we have to be at 4 life, but at least we can see 2 new cards from our deck. It's the Saiyan, so it fits all the other requirements for stuff. For the Dark Broly, because we are playing the red-black combination, so this is also treated as black. But it also is treated as red. It's a primary red color, so our Raditz Super Combo still works. 3 Goku Black, and then 2 Majin Vegeta. These are your free plays. You can warp 6 cards from your drop area to play this from your warp. You cannot include this or the copies of this card in the cards you are warping. So running 4 of these just doesn't seem fair for yourself, because you're going to bound to have an extra copy of one of these in your drop area at that point, and then you can't use it as a target. So it's really stupid that you can't do that. So really, honestly, you can probably run 2 Goku Black and 2 Vegeta and get rid of this 3rd slot and run something else. But this warps a card from hand. This is a 25k swing. Both are very good. Both are limit 1. So you don't need a ton of them, and once you see them in your warp area, once you play it and you combo it off, you're going to be able to do it, you know, as many times as you want, basically once per turn. 3 Defeating Demon, since there's the counterplay, it's one of your best red counterplays. It's also a Saiyan. I run 4 Solitary Guardian instead of Combo Attack. So I do own Combo Attack. I play black as my main color, but a few different things. So you don't run, in this build, I don't run a ton of black cards. Sure, like I run 4 Combo Attack, 2 and 2 of each of these, 4 of these, and then you run like Bardock Super, where it is, this guy, yeah. So, and you run Bardock, right? So you do run like a small percentage of these cards, so like 12 or so. But these cards you don't want to put from the, you don't want to put these cards in the drop area, right? You want these cards in your warp, unless you have extra copies, which you probably won't, right? You might have extra copies of Combo Attack in your warp. You might have Bardock. You're probably never pitching this card, because you're going to want to, you need to at least charge 2 of these, so unless you milled them, like, you're not going to do that. So the Combo Attack, there's sometimes I found where the Combo Attack doesn't go off correctly because you don't have a 5k. So instead of swinging 25k and drawing a card and then putting a card back, you're swinging 20k and doing the same thing. Well, this guy is a 20k overwhelm that draws you a card and then gains 5k. So this card's just flat out a 25k. So we don't need to worry about the combo effect. Sure, you get an extra card, but you combo so much anyways. Why not just use your leader effect? You know what I mean? Like, you're going to be able to get the Z energy anyways. I think this is just better also in the mirror match. This you can play, and then it won't die to defeating the demon. Right? Defeating the demon can kill Combo Attack. This does not die. So it becomes a 5k, so you can still use it as a combo. You can still swing with it to get a card in your drop area. Like, you can still do stuff with it. And we already showed this off here. We have Super Saiyan Vegeta Power Release. You play 3 or 4 of this card. I only own 3, so I only play 3. But this is only a once per turn. And you warp 2 Saiyans from your drop area. You give a card 30k. Very strong card in the mirror match. It's okay. It's almost a death sentence sometimes, because this card is actually super easy to remove in this deck. You got plethora of cards that can minus by 20k. So in other matchups it's much better, but in the mirror matchup it's not great, but you still need to play it. Bardock, this is probably your better negate to have. Overwhelm for 1 black. Your opponent can only attack with battle cards once more during their next turn. So just a really hard floodgate. We have 3 ultimate potentials on Gohan. This card is going to be banned at some point, mark my words, or limited, or changed. This card's really strong. Being able to so you can play this if you go second. If your opponent has 3 energy, you can play this on going second, or anytime your opponent has 3, basically. When this card is played, Until the end of your opponent's next turn, you can combo with battle cards without unique skills in combos until the end of your opponent's next turn. So you can basically choose any of these cards other than defeating the demon to combo with, which is really cool. So if you have a bunch of cards in rest mode, you can then utilize this effect, and basically you have extra combo power on board. This card is also included in that effect, and this card does not need to stay on board for this effect to linger. So once it's played, the effect will go off. So it doesn't matter what happens to this card after that, this effect will continue to go off and until the end of your opponent's turn. So if you're playing against a deck that taps down your card, you can still use them as combo power. When this card's comboed from the battle area, this card minuses the battle card by 10k for the battle. So you could also get a almost like a 15k combo out of this as well for 1 energy. This card's sick. I love this card. All right, so I went back and actually I had to do a little impromptu change because I was remembering there was a card that I didn't add to my deck planet list, and I was trying to figure out why I had 3 of these in here. I didn't include my 1 copy of Beast Roar. This card is one of my favorite. For one, this is one of the best looking SPRs we have that's come out recently. I love this card. So this card is one of my little secret techs. I won't say my secret tech, but this card's an insanely powerful card that it gives you a different look to your kill turn. So for one, you can play it for 2. If your leader's a red Saiyan, you have 4 more energy. You neg one of your opponent's battle cards by 30. So that's pretty cool. But it's a 30k dual attacker if you have Special Beam Cannon inherited power in your battle area, which is the Z extra card. And this card is attacking. When your opponent activates a counter skill, choose it to one of your opponent's leaders and he gets -5 power for the turn. So what this does, this forces your opponent to, and this isn't like the turn that's played, so this is just when this card attacks. You neg your opponent's leader by 10, so then, 5, so then they become a 10k leader if they're not like a Z leader or anything. So this allows all of your 20k cards now to be even more impactful. So like if they do play, like if they play this Vegeta or another card I'm going to show you in this deck that they can boost your leader, this card is going to allow you to reduce that as well. And also, again, it just removes something, 30k, it's a 30k body itself, it's a Saiyan, has all the combo effects as well. But this is a really good little, small little one of tech that I think actually can benefit a lot of people. We do still run the boss monster for the actual archetype, which is Vegeta. Similar thing to the Gohan, it negs a battle card by 30k, but this will draw you a card. And also when this card's removed from the battle area, it will minus a battle card or a unison by 30. So this is also really good. So you can use this to reduce unisons as well, which might be a thing depending on what unison decks show up at Nationals. Of course, Evil Saiyan as our secret rare here gives red access to one of the best secret rares in the game. That's maybe slightly better than Vegeta Xeno. That might be debatable, but I think this card's probably a little bit better than that card. And then our negates, we have 3 Imposing Presence and 2 Unending Awakening. So if your leader's a red Saiyan, you negate the attack, and you give your leader 5k for the duration of the turn. So this is another buff, right? So we can actually give our leader this 5k buff. We can become a 20k. And then we also use Vegeta to turn himself into a 25k. So now we have immense amount of just walling effects. This in particular, mixing with Imposing, which reduces cards by 5k every time that they attack, 10 on the initial one. This is also just a really easy way of getting out of a lot of attacks and not having to worry about constantly having Explosive Dance live. There are going to be turns where you don't have a chance to play the Z extra, and if you don't, now Explosive Dance doesn't work. So this just kind of counteracts not needing Explosive Dance in the main, which we still play it. And then this is just a really good option as well, just for a really hard negate that also allows us to bean ourselves. Z deck, we have 1 Mighty Blast, which gives us access to a Z extra. We also have the Special Beam Cannon as well. So this card also says if you have a Son Gohan superhero attacking and you tap 1, you remove this card from the game, you KO a battle card 35k or less, ignoring barrier. And then you can choose one of these 2 effects. The top effect we can't do because our leader is not a Gohan superhero. But the bottom effect, we can give one of our Son Gohan superheroes that has the original power of 30k or more 15k and double strike. So we can turn this guy into a 45k double strike, or we can turn this guy into a 45k double strike. Now it is for the battle, so it's not something that's going to stick around so the dual attacker doesn't get it for the turn, but being able to be a 45k double striker, really solid. So this is definitely a really good tech option here to run. we have the Gogeta and the Vegeta combination here. So Gogeta is one of your, I would say, probably one of your better turn 2 plays in a lot of matchups because of this auto effect here. So if you warp a battle card, a Saiyan from your drop, when your opponent plays a battle card, you can neg it by 20. So there's some matchups where you can just board this, and then your opponent can't actually go into their chains because you can just blow up their chain. So like Zamasu goes into the like 20k that makes you a mill card. You can, or like even like the little guy beforehand, you can just play this and then just pop it, or you just wait for them to play the big guy and then just pop it. So like this, it's really solid. It's a 25k, so even in like the red matchups, you can't defeat the demon and kill this. You have to defeat the demon and do something else. So and it gets reduced by 1 black for each Saiyan in your warp. So basically, as long as you have 4 Saiyans in your warp, this card costs 2. And then Vegeta, if you have an Overrealm card or a Dark Overrealm, this card gets its Z cost in your deck reduced by 2. So this becomes a 2 cost. 2 cost with a 3 Z energy cost. So it's a 30k triple attacker. Yeah, not bad. But you have to have black energy to play this. So that's also why we play black. We have 2 bold arrivals. You can play it for 1 for a Goku and a Vegeta, warping it from your drop. And this is a 20k double striker with barrier. So just a way of just being able to also just pressure without having to worry about your card dying. 1 dimensional fighting spirit, another double striker that warps something. 1 defender of life for burn damage, as well as having double strike and then barrier. And then 1 Jiren climactic battle. So this is a way of kind of beating yellow. So if they decide to Nimbus you, you can tap 4 energy for this card, and this card is going to go up to, it gets 5k for each marker on it. So it's going to be a 30k dual attacker with barrier that also has a negate built into it. So you also can use this as a negate. So you can also like just swing you're swinging 30 dual attack, and if they don't have the super combos, that's a really big number to get out of. All right, so for the side deck, we have 3 rapid reversal. This might be one of the best, if not the best, mirror match side deck card. Goku allows you to, your opponent has a giant board. If they have more cards than you can play it for 1. And when this card attacks, you can choose any number of your cards and then minus them by 10, and then choose any of your opponent's battle cards, the same number, 25k power or less, and blow them up. So this actually allows you, if you have 2 cards on board and they have 3 battle cards, you can play this, swing with this, neg itself and something else, and then blow up 2 cards, and then neg this card again on the second attack to blow up something else. So you have a really strong ability of just clearing boards. Also, this card is going to be very popular next set when blue gets that Zamasu counter card that says we can't reduce their power cost. But this card can blow it up. So we don't have to worry about it too much. 3 Bloodthirsty Saiyan Brolys for our barrier removal. 1 more Imposing Presence, that makes 4 Imposing Presence. 3 Rolly Crown. Blue, you want to play this and also in the green matchups. 2 Explosive Dance on the side. 2 Hidden Ambitions for counters, and then 2 Violent Rays for the yellow and black decks, but also for Jiren. Violent Rays is very, very good in the Jiren, since their unisons are generally going to be between 25 and 35k swings, so this actually works against them. And then the main effect for battle cards, also 30k or more, also works against yellow and black. So that is my Vegeta list. I know some people are going to really think this is stupid because they think the Unison build's better. That's fine, play the Unison build. I don't think the Unison build's that good. I would rather just have more combo power and more Saiyans in my deck that I can play. So, but that is the list. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys did, leave a thumbs up if you guys did. Like and subscribe to the channel, of course. Do appreciate all of the support, and I'll see you guys in the next video.